What would you do if love demanded a life-changing sacrifice? Would you give up everything for someone who never promised you forever? And what happens when the one who walked away returns, burning with regret? This Christmas season story is filled with suspense, sacrifice, betrayal, and an unexpected love that changed destiny forever. Stay with us till the end to see how a maid became a queen, and how true love revealed itself when it mattered most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful, emotional stories you won't forget. This one will touch your heart. The Adebayo mansion stood like a monument of success. Tall glass walls, polished marble floors, and warm wooden panels crafted in modern Nigerian elegance. Soft golden lights reflected off abstract African art pieces, while a towering Christmas tree glittered in the center of the living room, dressed in gold, red, and white. From the outside, it looked like joy lived there. Inside, death was knocking. Adekunle Adebayo sat alone on a leather sofa, wrapped in a cashmere throw that did little to warm his frail body. His once commanding presence had faded. His cheeks were hollow, his hands trembling as he lifted a glass of water. Machines hummed quietly nearby, silent reminders that his life now depended on tubes, pills, and time he no longer controlled. Outside the window, Lagos traffic flowed endlessly, careless and alive. The doctor's words echoed in his head: kidney failure, advanced stage, you need a transplant, soon. For the first time in his life, Adekunle was afraid. That same night, his fiancée, Vanessa, stood at the foot of his hospital bed. She looked flawless, designer heels, perfect makeup, expensive perfume, but her eyes avoided his. Christmas lights blinked faintly around the room, a poor attempt at cheer. "I need you," Adekunle said quietly. "The doctors say a donor from family or someone close is best." Vanessa's fingers tightened around her handbag. "Adekunle," she whispered, forcing a smile, "I love you, but I can't do this. What if something goes wrong? I have my life too." The words landed like a slap. He said nothing as she turned and walked away, heels clicking against the hospital floor, each step sounding like goodbye. Back at the mansion, the air was heavy. Family members came and went, offering prayers, sympathy, and empty promises. When the real question was asked, "Who will donate?" silence answered. Everyone had a reason. Everyone had fear. No one had courage. From the corner of the room, unnoticed, Zainab watched. She was the maid, the quiet one who decorated the Christmas tree, brewed herbal tea, and whispered prayers under her breath as she worked. She had seen Adekunle at his strongest, and now at his weakest. She saw the loneliness no amount of money could hide. As she adjusted a silver ornament on the tree, her hands shook. Because for the first time, she knew something none of them did. She knew she was willing to save him, and that decision, made in silence, was about to change every life under that roof forever. The hospital corridors were quiet that night. Too quiet. Christmas lights lined the walls, blinking softly, trying to bring cheer where fear lived instead. Zainab stood alone near the window, staring at the city lights below. Lagos never slept, yet her heart felt painfully awake. She had not told anyone what was growing inside her chest. All evening she replayed the voices she had overheard, the doctors speaking in low tones, the word critical repeated like a curse. She remembered the way Adekunle's hands shook when he tried to smile, how his eyes followed people as they left his room, hoping someone, anyone, would stay. She folded her hands and whispered a prayer. "If my life can save his," she murmured, "then let it be so." The next morning, Zainab stood at the doorway of Adekunle's hospital room. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. "Sir," she said softly. Adekunle turned, surprised. "Zainab, is everything okay?" She swallowed hard. "I want to get tested." Silence fell. "For what?" he asked, confused. "I want to donate my kidney." The words hung in the air like thunder. Adekunle's eyes widened. "No, Absolutely not. You're not family. You're not— I'm human, she interrupted gently, and you need help. He struggled to sit up. Do you know what you're saying? This is dangerous. She nodded. I know, but I'm not afraid. Tears filled his eyes, something no one had seen before. I can't accept this, he whispered. You already gave me work when no one else would, she replied. Let me give you life. The tests were done in secret at first. Blood samples, scans, endless waiting. Each hour felt heavier than the last. When the doctor finally returned, his expression was unreadable. She's a perfect match. The room went still. Adekunle felt the world tilt. Of all the people in his life, the wealthy, the powerful, the ones bound to him by blood, it was the woman who owned nothing who could save him. That night, he cried. Surgery day arrived wrapped in Christmas morning sunlight. Carols played faintly in the hospital lobby. Outside, families laughed and exchanged gifts. Inside, two lives lay on parallel beds, separated by glass and fate. Zainab smiled as they wheeled her away. See you on the other side, sir. Adekunle reached for her hand. If anything happens to you. She squeezed his fingers. I'll be fine. You will be too. The doors closed. Hours passed. Machines beeped. Prayers rose. Time stretched. When the surgeon finally stepped out, removing his mask, the room held its breath. The transplant was successful. Christmas had come early. Two lives were changed forever, but neither of them yet understood the kind of love that had just been born. Adekunle woke to light. Not the harsh white glare of hospital lamps, but warm, morning sunlight spilling gently across the room. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. His chest rose without pain. His body, once heavy and tired, felt strangely alive. He blinked. Machines still hummed beside him, but their sound no longer felt like a countdown. A nurse noticed his movement and smiled. Welcome back, sir. Back. The word echoed in his mind. He was alive. Across the hall, Zainab lay quietly, her face pale but peaceful. She woke later that day, her body sore, her breath shallow, but her heart light. When Adekunle insisted on seeing her, doctors protested. He ignored them. He stood at her bedside, dressed in a hospital robe instead of his usual tailored suits. For the first time, he looked like a man stripped of power and pride. You did this, he said, his voice breaking. You saved me. Zainab smiled weakly. We both survived. Tears rolled down his face. I don't know how to repay you. She looked at him gently. You don't have to. But from that moment, Adekunle knew. His life could never return to what it was before. Recovery took weeks. Adekunle was transferred back to his mansion, now glowing with Christmas decorations and soft music. But the house felt different to him. Bigger, quieter, emptier. He ordered that Zainab be moved into a private guest wing. Modern, warm, elegant. Nurses attended to her. Doctors checked on her daily. Nothing was spared. Still, he worried. Every morning, he asked about her before asking about his businesses. How is she today? When Zainab was finally strong enough to walk, she sat one evening in the living room, Christmas lights twinkling softly around them. Adekunle watched her closely. How she laughed quietly, how she held her side when she moved, how strength and gentleness lived together in her. You should be angry with me, he said suddenly. Why? She asked. I let you risk your life when people who claimed to love me walked away. She shook her head. Everyone makes their own choice. He nodded slowly. And yours changed everything. There was a pause, heavy, unspoken. Something unfamiliar stirred in his chest. It wasn't pity. It wasn't gratitude alone. It was admiration. It was warmth. It was the beginning of something he hadn't planned for and could no longer ignore. As Christmas Eve approached, Adekunle realized a truth that unsettled him deeply. The woman who saved his life had quietly walked into his heart, and soon the world would notice too. Adekunle tried to fight it. He told himself it was gratitude, respect, a sense of responsibility, nothing more. But every time he heard Zainab's soft footsteps in the hallway or her quiet laughter drift through the house, his heart betrayed him. One evening, as Christmas music played softly through the mansion speakers, he made a decision. "Get dressed," he told her gently. "We're going out." Zainab froze. "Sir?" "Not as my staff," he added quickly. "As my guest." She hesitated, then nodded. When she stepped into the living room minutes later, Adekunle forgot how to breathe. She wore a simple dress, no diamonds, no designer label, but she looked radiant, real, alive. That night, they drove through Lagos, city lights reflecting off glass buildings, Christmas decorations glowing on every street. Adekunle talked, not about business or money, but about fear, about waking up after surgery and realizing how empty his life had been. Zainab listened. No one had ever truly listened to him before. Days later, he took her to the beach. The ocean stretched endlessly before them, waves rolling in like whispered promises. Zainab removed her sandals and laughed as the water touched her feet. Adekunle watched her, something warm and dangerous blooming in his chest. "I've never been to the beach," she admitted. He looked at her, stunned. "Never?" She shook her head. "Some dreams wait." They walked along the shore as the sun dipped into the sea, painting the sky gold and pink. Later, they shared dinner by candlelight, the sound of waves replacing the noise of Lagos. "You don't have to do all this," Zainab said softly. "I want to," Adekunle replied. "For the first time in my life, I want to." As the days passed, the line between them blurred. Morning conversations turned into shared laughter. Shared laughter turned into lingering looks. Adekunle found himself thinking about her constantly, her strength, her humility, her courage. One night, standing on the balcony of the beach resort, Christmas lights glowing faintly behind them, he finally admitted the truth to himself. This isn't just gratitude, he thought. This is love. But love has enemies. Back in Lagos, news traveled fast. Vanessa heard everything. The recovery, the trips, the woman who had replaced her. Her anger burned hotter than regret. And as Adekunle stood beside Zainab, unaware of the storm approaching, one truth remained certain. The heart he thought was healed was about to be tested again. Vanessa did not come quietly. She returned like a storm that had been gathering strength in silence. When the news reached her that Adekunle was healthy, glowing, and seen everywhere with the maid, disbelief turned to rage. "How dare her?" Vanessa hissed, staring at her phone as photos flooded social media. Beach sunsets, soft smiles, happiness that should have been hers. She drove straight to the mansion. That night, Christmas lights wrapped the gates in beauty, masking the tension that waited inside. Adekunle and Zainab had just returned from an evening walk when the sound of furious heels echoed across the marble floor. Vanessa stood there, eyes sharp, lips tight, pride wounded. "So this is it," she sneered. "You replace me with a house girl?" Zainab froze. Adekunle stepped forward. "Watch your words." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "I saved myself, and this is my punishment?" "You walked away when I was dying," he replied calmly. She stayed. Vanessa turned sharply toward Zainab, her voice dropping low. "Do you think this ends well for you? Men like him don't marry girls like you. Enjoy it while it lasts." Zainab's heart raced, but she lifted her chin. "I didn't ask for this." "That makes it worse," Vanessa snapped. "You took what was mine." Adekunle's voice thundered through the room. "Enough. You lost me the day you chose fear over love." Security escorted Vanessa out, her screams swallowed by the night. But the damage lingered. That night, Zainab couldn't sleep. Fear crept into her thoughts like a shadow. She sat alone in her room, Christmas lights blinking softly, wondering if she truly belonged in Adekunle's world. When Adekunle knocked and entered, he found her wiping tears. "I don't want to be the reason for trouble," she whispered. "Maybe I should leave." His heart clenched. He knelt in front of her. "You are not a mistake. You are my miracle." She looked at him, uncertain. I nearly died, he continued, and when I came back, you were the first thing that felt real. I won't let anyone threaten that. Outside, Lagos buzzed with Christmas celebrations, music, laughter, fireworks. Inside, two souls stood at the edge of truth. Vanessa's threats had awakened something powerful in Adekunle: clarity. He realized love wasn't just about grand gestures or shared history. It was about who stayed when the world fell apart. And as he held Zainab's trembling hands, one thing became certain. This was no longer a secret, no longer a mistake, and no longer something he would run from. The next step would change everything. Adekunle did not sleep that night. While Lagos celebrated Christmas with fireworks and laughter, his mind replayed every moment, lying helpless in a hospital bed, the sound of Zainab's voice offering her kidney without hesitation, the way she looked at him now with fear instead of certainty. By morning, his decision was made. This time, he would not hesitate. He told Zainab they were going away to rest. She didn't question him. Since the threats, she moved carefully, like someone afraid to dream too loudly. Adekunle noticed, and it broke his heart. The beach resort welcomed them with soft waves, warm sand, and gentle Christmas decor. Fairy lights wrapped around palm trees, lanterns glowing like stars fallen to earth. The air smelled of salt and hope. That evening, Adekunle dressed in white linen. Zainab wore a flowing dress the color of champagne. The ocean hummed quietly, as if listening. They walked along the shore in silence. I used to believe love was convenience, Adekunle said finally. Same background, same class, same comfort. Zainab said nothing. But when I was dying, he continued, stopping. Comfort disappeared. Titles disappeared. Only truth remained. She turned to face him. Adekunle reached into his pocket and dropped to one knee. Zainab gasped, stepping back in shock. Sir, Adekunle, what are you doing? I'm doing what I should have done the moment I opened my eyes after surgery. Tears filled her eyes as beach lights flickered behind them. You gave me your kidney, he said, voice thick. But more than that, you gave me courage, humility, and love I didn't know existed. People will talk. They will judge. But I don't want a life where you are missing. He opened the ring box, the diamond catching the last light of the setting sun. Zainab, will you marry me? She trembled, tears streaming freely now. The world will never accept me. He stood, cupping her face gently. Then I will be your world. She nodded, crying, laughing, breathing all at once. Yes, I will. He slipped the ring onto her finger as the ocean roared its approval. Fireworks burst in the distance, Christmas celebrations carried by the wind. Adekunle pulled her into his arms, holding her as if letting go was impossible. For the first time since fear had entered her life, Zainab felt safe. Back in Lagos, Vanessa would soon hear the news, and the world would talk. But on that beach, under Christmas lights and an endless sky, none of that mattered, because love born from sacrifice had finally spoken its truth. The news did not whisper, it exploded. By the time Adekunle and Zainab returned to Lagos, the city already knew. Blogs, gossip pages, and whispered conversations carried the same shocking headline in different forms. Billionaire engaged to his former maid. Phones rang endlessly. Business partners called out of concern. Family members requested urgent meetings. Society women clutched their pearls and shook their heads in disbelief. Zainab felt it all before anyone said a word. She sat in the living room of the mansion, Christmas lights glowing softly around her, her engagement ring heavy on her finger, not because of its weight, but because of what it represented. She traced it nervously as voices echoed from another room. They'll never accept her. This will ruin the family name. He's thinking with emotions, not sense. Adekunle walked in and found her sitting there, shoulders tense. You're quiet, he said gently. She forced a smile. I'm listening to a world that doesn't want me. He sat beside her. Then listen to me instead. That evening, Adekunle faced his family. They gathered in the grand dining room, Modern Nigerian design blending tradition and luxury. Dark wood, carved accents, and soft Christmas candles flickering on the table. "This engagement is unacceptable," an uncle said bluntly. "She doesn't belong in our circle," another added. Adekunle stood. "When I was dying," he said calmly, "this circle vanished. She didn't." Silence fell. "You raised me to value courage and sacrifice," he continued. "Zainab showed both when everyone else chose fear. If that disqualifies her, then it also disqualifies this family." No one spoke. "I'm not asking for permission," he concluded. "I'm informing you." Later that night, Zainab stood by her bedroom window, watching Christmas lights flicker across the city. Doubt crept in again, quiet and dangerous. "What if loving him costs him everything?" she whispered. Adekunle came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her gently. "They already tried to take my life," he said softly. "I won't let them take my happiness." She turned to face him. "Are you ready to fight the world?" He smiled. "I already did. I survived." Outside the mansion gates, a familiar figure watched from inside a parked car. Vanessa. Her nails dug into her palms as she stared at the glowing house, the decorations, the warmth, the woman who now stood where she once dreamed of standing. "This isn't over," she whispered, eyes burning with unresolved rage. Inside, Adekunle held Zainab's hand as Christmas music filled the room. For the first time, she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, love could be stronger than class, louder than gossip, and braver than fear. But peace never lasts forever, and as wedding plans quietly began, one truth hovered in the air like a held breath. The greatest test of their love was still ahead.
Just when love begins to feel safe, a shadow from the past returns with unfinished business. What is Vanessa planning behind closed doors? Will society's pressure break Zainab's courage, or push her to walk away? And when a secret from the night of the surgery resurfaces, will Adekunle's trust be shaken forever? As wedding plans begin, danger draws closer, and one decision could destroy everything sacrifice built. Don't miss the next part of the story, where love, jealousy, and power collide. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single twist. Because this love story is about to take a dark, unforgettable turn.